There was a time in my life where I just felt like I was tied down. I didn't know what it was, but I did know that the thought within my head was, I should be content with what I have. God gave me this, and I should be happy with where I'm at and what I'm doing right now. But for some reason, there was something inside of me that was like, there's more to life than just living content. I feel like God designed me for just a little bit more. Didn't know what it was, but it was just this thing I wrestled with constantly. Because once I started, I was like, oh, I need to grow a little bit. And the next thing you know, I was tied down, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should be content. So it was that back and forth through this whole entire time in my life. There was one point that I was a manager, and I was in charge of technicians, and we worked on cars all day long. And this one day, we had a police car in the bay. And I would never forget this day because there was 3 technicians around this police car, and I'm like, oh, they're probably trying to find a taser or something to fool around with. So I walk over there and I say, guys, y'all got to stop. This doesn't look good. Customers can see you. Just one person can work on this car. I don't need all of y'all around this car. And so there's like, okay. And I looked over, and there was one of my guys leaning against the workbench. I was like, you got plenty to do. Why are you just sitting here watching these guys? And he didn't say anything, which was odd because he usually says a lot. And I looked down at his wrist and I saw something silver. And I was like, what happened? And he lifts his arm up, and it's a chain, and he's handcuffed to the workbench. So those guys found some handcuffs in this police car and locked him up to the workbench. And I think about this story, and that's exactly where I was. I was just leaning against the workbench, being content with where I was, because that's what I was always told, to be content with where you are and what you have. But I was always handcuffed to this workbench, just like my employee. And I remember my mom giving me this book, and it was a random book, but it was a leadership book. She had no idea. And I opened that book, and it opened my mind. And this book became the key to my handcuffs. And then I started growing more and more from that. We never found the key to those handcuffs. There was not a key in that police car whatsoever. I had to call the police department and ask them if they could come unlock my employee from the car. And they didn't find it as amusing. They were a little bit upset that we were fooling around. But we got him free. And I encourage you to find something that frees your life. It may be a book or a podcast, but keep searching.